Hey guys, welcome to another Inside Tabletop. I'm Chris. This is Jay, as you well know. And today we're going to talk with them. What's going on here?
Oh,
hello. Oh, I guess this is your channel.
This is my channel. Yeah, we're doing a remote. How's everybody doing today? So, I have to talk to you about your display cabinets.
Oh no. I have dusted them.
They're a little fucking dusty.
Yeah. A little dusty. What were you looking at? They're a lot dusty.
Also, two of them have my name Sharpied on them.
Hey, whoa.
Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything.
And there's a Thunderhawk gun.
Possession is 90% of the law.
That's right. There's a Thunderhawk gunship that I'm pretty sure is mine.
Sharpie my name on all kinds
Yeah.
of things. Doesn't mean it's mine.
People can Sharpie their things on all kinds of things. When it comes to Sharpie my name on your kid. see how you like it.
It'll come
See
on.
how you like it. There's a Thunderhawk here that's literally has my name on the bottom.
I mean, people have asked me a lot of dumb questions about it, so if you want to take it back,
That's fair.
you know.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll take the display cabinets for the studio. And we'll figure
Where
out
no one will see them.
Plenty of people will see them, just at my leisure.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to Inside Tabletop. I'm doing a remote today because we're doing a collab with my boys Chris and Jay here at Lords of War Games and Hobbies. You will have seen me feature on like a retrospective, red carpet retrospective. I don't know what we're gonna call that one. You guys come up with weird names for things.
Yeah, that's his job.
It is.
It's usually
That's why they pay him the big bucks.
Yes, and then
I
Chris
guess.
will just change it anyway later. Sometimes, so
This is what happens when mommy and daddy both have access
I
to
think
YouTube
I think I always change it for the worse though. Like his channel's always better.
I
So
try.
actively ruining things.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here to talk to you guys about Age of Sigmar because you guys are, I don't know, you guys can't really see this play cabinets back here, but there's like 12 shelves of Age of Sigmar stuff back
over
here.
there too.
I do like it a lot. Yeah.
You guys really, and you guys have done the Age of Sigmar team event / doubles / singles
Every year
at Adepticon since it launched almost.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I thought you guys would be a good time to ask about the temperature of this game because we're coming up to a summer of Age of Sigmar. We just had, you and I did the 40K launch last year.
Yep.
And had a big talk about this because we're in that cycle where about every 3 years Workshop resets their games.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're in that down, I mean, we talked about this 3 months ago. We're in that downward sort of like trajectory where they're doing the campaign books and customers are kind of coming in and they're being like,
Still a campaign book that
Hasn't come out yet, which
I
I'm
know.
just like, are you?
I know.
Who's picking that up?
I know.
is getting revealed in
Oh,
less
man.
than 24 hours.
I know. And they're giving away campaign books. So it's like,
Oh man,
for real?
How many do you want to order? Ooh,
I was going to say
yeah.
the laughter right now says a lot for the
Yeah.
two of you. But I wanted to have you guys on because obviously we're in your store today.
Yeah.
You have a whole wall of AoS stuff.
I know, I just counted it.
And
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a new car.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It's a new car. It's
it
another Subaru.
It's
for a
another
collection of
Subaru for my
Subarus.
collection. If I have one, is it a collection?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because your kids are going to drive.
You don't
it,
buy
and you're gonna
Subarus,
a
you
new
collect
one.
them.
Yeah.
They never die, so you'll have them forever.
No.
This is now Subaru Cast. We're going to plug
that's
Subarus.
right, yeah.
Subaru Games and Hobbies.
When are you going to buy one? Yeah.
When do we get sponsored? That's what I
When
want to know.
Yeah.
When do we get sponsored?
I mean, why do you think we're doing this all the time?
Yeah.
I know. She'll point
The,
out.
the Brazilian big bucks. Or whatever
I did it
they're
for
hoping
10 years and they never paid
Never.
attention.
Never.
Damn it,
It's been a decade. They
Never.
won't pay attention to me at all. So let's talk about the now, and then we'll talk about your feelings. Then we'll talk about some like prognosticating. We'll put tinfoil hats and talk about the future. So, what is for you guys in the store? What's your current sort of state of play for Age of Sigmar? It's funny because we talked about this with 40K, and it was kind of like there wasn't like a blip. You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of steady across the board.
Yeah.
What's it like right now with AOS? Because AOS is closer to 40K right now than it's ever been.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is like
I mean, rules-wise, by the way, not like
yeah,
sales. I just
of
mean
course,
like
of course,
the way the game is being marketed and designed. It feels more like 40K than it ever has.
3.0. I think objectively it was a very. I enjoyed it, but it is like the antithesis of what AOS was when it launched.
It's weird, eh?
Yeah,
It's
that's a
kind
good way to
of
describe
The
it.
purpose
Actually,
of AOS when it launched was like, here's this like quick, fun 4-page rule set, and we could argue that maybe it was a little too slim. Whatever, that's besides the point. The point is, it was like. It was wacky, it was fun, and then, maybe the sweet spot was slightly after that. When
1.5
when they added a little bit more
out,
with the points and stuff, so people didn't lose their minds. And
no points.
and then now it's like not the same at all. Like it's like super, like tons of rules and stuff. So
the amount of like over the battlefield metadata that comes from the General's Handbook has never been higher, right? And then interspersed with 3.0 did away with some of that because like there's less command traits, there's less artifacts. Like it's less heavy on like the optional stuff where you're like, you can kind of gotcha your opponent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's more driven by its battle pack than almost anything else, which is where 40K was right before 10th.
Yeah. We always joke it's like the amount of like bookkeeping and things you have to do before you even like move a model on a turn. It's insane.
And
right?
some armies, it's like our friend Lewis has this like Iron Jaws army from the like fall, like their latest update, and he's like tracking this like momentum crap on his and I'm like, what does that do? He's like, don't worry about it.
You have to raise it so you can lower it.
The whole game, I don't know what it did, and I don't know why. Like, but he had to track it.
I'm digging holes.
And
Why? So I can fill in these holes.
Yeah. And I think it's something like I'm probably going to be roasted, but it feels like it's like one of these things you add up, and maybe at the end of the game it gets you some victory points. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or like.
Yeah.
Because I kept asking, because I was like, what is it? Because do I have to factor this in? He's like, just.
These are my fun
shut
bucks.
up,
These are for me. Yeah, these are just my fun bucks. I get to spend them on a pencil top.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like it's the Warhammer equivalent of tickets at a ski ball.
It is.
You're like, what are these worth?
What are these
Nothing,
two?
but I have to count them.
I don't know. I have to count them.
Yeah.
I paid for this book. So
I paid for this book. That's right. Yeah.
I'm going to use all the rules I paid
That's
for
right.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, I think from just like we can speak to what we see in the shop, and I've seen the community. It seems like the tournamenty guys are going till the end. They're still playing, but I think all the casual play has kind of dried up now.
That was this year's Adepticon. Chris he was there last year, and I was there this year for different reasons. But
Give kids some trade.
No. I had a kid last year, and then he got sick this year.
Cthulhu stomach virus or whatever.
Yeah, that text message was alarming. But
Yeah.
I think I might die.
I might die. Yeah. And. And in both cases, the attendees, it was like there was no easy games because I'm like, oh, it's just tournament. It's just the people that know the game and play the game well. Like, there's no casual guy playing this game at this tournament anymore.
There's no beer fridge war.
Like, it was 5 games of like just intense, like great opponents, but there was no like, oh, cool, you just like playing this and you have a pretty army, and no.
And because we've been going every year, we've literally seen the decline in the casual player. Like, a couple of years back, you don't have to go that far back. The person who just like loved painting Age of Sigmar armies and wanted to show it off that day, that person would go to a tournament because that's an excuse to go.
Because that's their convention too.
Exactly.
So like, I'm going to go do the thing I'm going to have the most fun doing for X.
And the game was like, at that point at least, simple enough that you could fake your way through it.
Or play completely truck like a lot of people.
Or do that exactly, and have a decent time with your opponent, right? But like I said, the analogy you always use is the shelf or whatever. The shelf, I think, just keeps getting higher or has gotten higher to the point where those people have probably just looked for new experiences. To be honest,
I think it just got too like you described to customers a lot is the amount of moments where you have to pause and think about the decision because it's not just a simple yes/no flow chart. It's
or a battlefield decision.
It just keeps branching because it's like, well, who won the roll? Okay, and then can I do this battle? There's 4 battle tactics, and they all have this one has 30% chance. This one's a 40% chance, and then and if I do this, then I open up myself to this other one, and it just you kept going and going, and so turns would take forever. And
it was a stratagem thing in 40K, right? Where anything that takes the camera off the table, right? Where you're no longer immersed and you're sort of drawn away to a book for a second.
Yes.
That's always jarring for me in a gameplay experience. I want to always be scanning the table and processing that and thinking about that. And anytime I have to go flip through a book and think about that instead, it literally dissociates me from what I'm doing in the game.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's I think where we're at right now. Just to say in terms of sales. Man, it's not great right now, and that's pretty normal for a pre-edition lull. People are told not to buy things.
It's kind of gotten worse though, hasn't it? Because they seem to preview the games even earlier.
I mean, Adepticon's what, 3 months out?
3 months. So
where they did the preview,
basically,
they did the preview or whatever.
Under normal circumstances, I understand there's a logistical problem why we don't have the last Dawnbringers book and material. I assume. They would have liked to have.
Could not have been a decision that was made.
Doesn't sound like
those are the items that are supposed to kind of carry your interest until the edition lands.
Yeah, exactly.
And but it's it's 3 months of oh, okay.
Limbo.
And this is not even, and this isn't a small change. This is a book wipe. Everything's getting wiped. So now people are even more I have no, at least when there's a staggered book approach, you can be well, maybe most, you can count on Stormcast and I guess Skaven that are, would be the first books. So you would know that your book would still be in play for a while. You may be still making purchases and decisions. Well, now you're really just...
They've just announced it's all indexes, and they're just tossing it all.
So now you're like, well, I'm just...
How did that land with Flesh Eater Courts? Because they had the nicest model refresh. Like, they are such a beautiful army now. They have the coolest miniatures, and like literally like a week and a half after they came out.
Yep. It's probably about the same.
Someone always has to.
Someone has to take it on
the chin, man. Sorry. We need you to Flesh Eater Courts. We're going to need you to take this one.
I will say, unlike the...
It's your turn.
Unlike the 40k equivalent of the Astral Militarum and the World Eaters, I think there's just generally fewer Fect players in the world. So
really, they were so popular. Like
they were, yeah. I just found in the store that the people that wanted the models, they just went and got them. They didn't really. They weren't too upset. They kind of knew it that it's a super late edition thing. I don't know. It's not like. I don't know how many people we had, like half a dozen people.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Workshop ate shit online.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because anyone who, like, it's funny because it's always the truth, though. The people that didn't even buy that army will get more secondhand upset about whatever Workshop does. I mean,
same with the Stormcast thing, right?
The Stormcast thing. So let's talk about that then. The whole, like, the fact that the Derpcast are getting the boot, basically, all the original chambers are going to go away. What do you feel about that range reduction? I think it's funny that they're willing to do that with Stormcast, but not with Space Marines. Like they staged it out over like 10 years of Space Marines, but Stormcast are just like what? They just
40k always gets handled with the most safest of kid gloves. Definitely, they always make sure not to piss anyone off. The flip side though is 40k is also always just more expensive by 10% or whatever.
Yeah,
they know that they can't F around at all. All the resources go to 40k.
That's so interesting that you say that though. Because the fact that you as retailers know that there's actually like a discounted advantage to buying into AoS. Is that something that you talk about with the customers? Like the fact that like it's just going to be 20% cheaper because it's AoS and they're making it a loss leader, trying to get it to work?
I don't know. I think because of the staggering difference between the popularity of the two, it's probably always been this way since 40k was born. Is if anyone's interested at all in AoS, you just like, hey man, like you try and just keep them there, keep that flyer going. Keep them like
handling the littlest fun.
Look, I love it. Look how many armies I have.
Like a baby. Don't worry. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Look,
you're gonna get an army book eventually.
Well, I can't give you breast milk, but we'll find some for you. We'll figure it out.
That's right.
The Mad Max.
They're not the fucking deformed 40k children being like, kill me.
No.
I just pictured Quado in my head.
Quado, right to Quado.
Is there another Simpsons reference?
The reactor. 40k.
No, 40k is just it's a never-ending juggernaut. It's I don't know.
You say that, I don't believe you anymore.
Yeah.
I think its IP is for sure. Its IP is for sure. I don't know if the game is.
So with the range reduction, like typical of these things, we hear almost nothing about it in the shop because people that are customers don't really care that much.
Sure.
And we hear a lot about it because we made a few fun videos about it, and we get a lot of the comments through there of us not being tone deaf and that sort of thing. But
and I just want them to call the store so bad now. Now that like we had a phone ring during the last video that we shot, and I was like, I had somebody calling to complain about a comment for something. You do it, guys.
We're gonna look these guys up. The phone number at the bottom.
Call 555-555-555.
Yeah, I don't know. Warhammer call-in show. I haven't seen that before.
I would fucking love that. I would be so here for it. It'd be amazing. And get them online. Just have like their actual.
You know what? Yeah.
You'd be like Mike Wilner taking calls out of the Blue Jays games.
He would be
just the worst call-ins or whatever.
Just the worst. It would be like that.
Oh, it was the guy. There was
trying to fix Jose Bautista's swing or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's the elbow pad. I think he used to have a white one and now he's a red one.
I feel like maybe the hitting coach might have said something if that was the case.
It's like Jay Baruchel taking the calls in Goon. It's hot. All right, you're on Hockey Talk. I love that.
Oh man,
that would be so
great. Good idea. Future.
Maybe that's how we run our live show.
That's it.
Like a call-in style.
Well, what we could do is we could have them like get on a voice chat, a Discord, just have it on one of their phones. And then just have people call in and get comments.
That'd be too fun.
We need a third person.
It has to be live and just completely raw. Like that's the only way it can work.
Unhinged. The unhinged people that watch our shit. Because
USA Libertarian has to be able to call.
That's one of our long.
Did you start with like, hello, my name is blah blah blah. I'm a sovereign citizen.
That's what I'll say. Are you a super citizen?
I'm calling from a sovereign citizen part of the world, where my country travels with me wherever I am. My sovereign citizenship is my Camry that I live in.
Good Lord.
Inside
There's
Tabletop.
all the freedom on that camera.
You can go wherever you want. No borders in this camera.
Except you can't park here. Or
Kicked out every wall.
But yeah, as I always try to like preface this with people that there is a massive divide between the online community and how the things that they find important, generally speaking, and like what's happening in the real world in the retail stores. And not everybody believes me, but go to your local hobby shop and just look around and
talk to the people that
work there.
Talk to people that work there, and don't try and ask. I think that's one thing that a lot of people have a hard time doing is that when they talk to people that work in this industry, they want to tell them their experience instead of hearing the experience of people who work in the industry. Because every customer's experience is unique and important to that customer especially, and to the person that they have like that relationship with. It's their person that's a retailer, manufacturer, whatever. But holistically, there's lots of interesting things to find out when you just kind of stop and listen to people talk.
Yeah.
So we're at that crux now. Then second half of this.
Yeah.
What do you guys? So what do we know? We know a bunch of like basic details from like the launch so far. What's the key stuff that you guys have had your ears perk up about for this new edition?
The way I've kind of like I guess envisioned it or kind of processed it, and I think Jay and I kind of chatted about this a little bit, is it feels the way I describe AoS4, it looks to me like it feels like a corporate restructuring of a game.
Okay.
I'll give you an
as opposed to a complete wipe, and it feels like they've just retooled everything, and I'll let you kind of talk about
I was just good. I mean, maybe it's terrible because it's a sports analogy, but they're doing the thing they recently did with baseball, which is they wanted to trim it from 2.5 hours to 2 hours or whatever it was. All the rules changes are designed to slice off a few minutes here, a few seconds there, to basically give you the same game but like a little faster. So things like no battle shock phase.
Yeah.
Or like everyone within 3 just fights. You're not sitting there with different widgets and ranges and checking.
Decisive combat, a rule that had basically become meaningless because so many things didn't even bother thoughts anymore. Like
most useless phase.
Less battle tech decisions because they've trimmed that down. Thank God.
Yeah. Getting rid of legacy stuff that was kind of bolted into the original versions of AOS because it felt like, well, you needed to have some kind of a fear mechanic in the game because Warhammer's always had people run away, right? Like, that was always the thing that we did. And it's like, but we've paved that over so many times now with people that don't run away because it's like, why did the ghosts run away? They're already dead. That it's just like, but now just literally nothing runs away.
Yeah, well, I think also the running away mechanic is well, if you don't have match play and or trying to run a game with a stupid competitive meta, running away is supposed to be like a fun and silly thing, like
it's a dramatic move,
as we see in Old World or whatever. But just like I explained to the Old World players that came back into the game, I'm like, it's also the best and the worst because you're always running away incorrectly or whatever, or just something just gets wiped out.
It requires so much trig.
It's like how often do you you try and look at the diagram in the book, which is awful usually, and you're like, and then it creates these feel bad moments. So over the years they tried to make it like less abstract. And
it became guys just poofed and
that's right.
And it became easier to manage, and then it became it's easy to manage, but also it just never happens. So like, why do we check for something that just never happens?
I find it funny actually that it even exists in 40k too, because often like squads are like 5 guys,
and they're just gone. They're just gone.
If they get shot at with one volley, they're usually just dead.
The game is less granular in general, except in weird ways. Like the games have become less granular mechanically for the resolution of things like hitting and damage, and that seems to, again, like you said, be the purpose of a lot of these rules changes in AoS4. But they're also getting rid of some of the granularity that's that off-table stuff, it looks like, where it's not, you're not distracted from the game table as much, and they've moved away things that aren't just like moving guys around and having them hit each other.
Yeah, but I think we're still going to stand in circles and
stand in circles and push buttons.
Circles and push buttons.
Smaller circles pushing
Smaller
buttons.
circles.
Yeah. The circles and buttons thing is interesting because that is the biggest import. And you guys made a video about this. You made a video about the cautionary tale of War Machine. There weren't any circles before War Machine in 40K.
No,
circles didn't exist. There was no circle standing. That's then War Machine fell apart, and all of a sudden there was circle standing in 40K. And then there was circle standing in AOS. There was no circle standing in AOS for the first edition either. No. Even with points.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
And now there's circle standing.
Now there's
circle standing is a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's an abstraction of battlefield information, right? Like where it's like, here's the glowing area in League of Legends that you need to go stand in and score points every round.
Yes.
And I guess that fits the mentality of the current hobbyist. I don't want to harp on it too much because I realize that, like, from our point of view, it's a big move away from, like, the narratively driven missions that we played when we were playing competitive Warhammer, you know, 40,000. But it does seem like it's still going to exist and it's still being embraced. That level of, like, abstraction is still going to be there, and there's going to be some visual sort of, like, cognitive dissonance. Here's all these cool terrain pieces. Also, there's a button you need to stand next to.
So that's an interesting point. And so my major concern, I guess, as a retailer is are they learning the correct lessons from their current games, which I think they push really heavily into this meta watch, competitive gaming, like Games Workshop actually focusing on that for probably the first time in its history, shining light onto that style of play. And the lesson isn't necessarily that they're taking is that was a bad decision. It's that we can change it and make it better. I don't know. I guess I'm like cautious about if that's actually going to work or not.
So my instinct is that they didn't actually do that. So I will disagree with you that that actually happened. I think that knowing the Games Workshop that we all worked for at one point, one of the things the Games Workshop loves is things they can prove. So things that they can prove would be things like website hits. Right? And then they will act based on things that they prove that will then be able to drive those things like KPIs or engagement metrics or whatever. Because algorithmically, the more eyes you get on something, the more chances you have for them to click through onto your web store to make a purchase. And so if you have a web team that's a very Games Workshop web team, I would bet that what happened was they started posting articles about meta watches and their engagement on their website went through the roof. And then they went later on and said, well, we should just keep doing more of that. Because look at what we post that gets clicks and look at what we post that don't get clicks. It's usually never as complicated as they chose a certain type of messaging. It's almost always, what can I sit and show on a bar graph at a meeting that proves that I'm doing my job and that the line's going up?
So for Horus Heresy, they had 20 of you come and only 1 or 2 of you actually knew about the Horus Heresy.
You knew how to play the Horus Heresy. That's a story for another time. That was a whole other thing. But yes, that is all. I mean, that's
because then they just filter by clicks or by views or whatever. The top 20 YouTubers or whatever.
Pretty much, And then you also have the knock-on effect of, if that's the case, and this is a guess, like obviously you don't have any inside baseball knowledge, but when you see things getting posted like that, that becomes the message after a while. If you just focus on things that are working well and that you can prove, that becomes the message. So then AOS turns into this competitive game because that's what everybody thinks they want. If you're going to look at your engagement, you're going to say, well, we should create things for these people. Also, we should hire these people to know about this stuff. Like, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy after a while. And it's kind of our fault. Like, it's kind of your and my fault because we raised a generation of customers that we were the outliers in the Games Workshop of the time saying, no, let's run events and let's do tournaments and let's do these things. And so our counterculture push inside that business created customers that then went on to work for that business that thought that was important. So in a big way, I think we have to kind of take some responsibility for that happening because if we were 15 years younger, we'd think this was awesome.
Maybe.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
I mean, everything is, an esport or whatever, or something like that. Like, So they, I mean, unfortunately, in my opinion, like, Warhammer is awful to watch, like, because it's just all the magic's gone, right? Like if you're not playing,
God, you're so dead inside.
Like, if you're not playing, like, I get people like listening to battle reports, but I'm like, if I'm not rolling the dice, I just cannot, like,
that's fair.
But I think that might be like why, like, I don't know, I don't see it reaching that stratosphere of like the video game.
It needs the right person playing.
Yeah,
and they're obviously making a push for that because there's AEW wrestlers promoting new Warhammer. That's
crazy.
I love that. Like, I am all for stunts. Like, I think that's great. I think that's the more, because, like, I'm sure those guys are under a contract and there's going to be talking points and stuff, but even just the chance that it could go off the rails makes me want to watch it. I'm going to get Rob and we're going to sit and we're going to Skype and we're going to watch those reaction videos because I think that Rob knows all about these AEW wrestlers and he's going to be able to give the color commentary of like, oh, well, this guy actually did this. And, like, he's going to be able to tell me all the inside wrestling baseball of, like, who these two are and why this is hilarious. So, regardless of whether it's,
you're like, please just hit the other guy with the chair now or whatever.
I'm just
that would be great.
Just broken glass. Just like one of the one
be
of the
great.
models.
Yeah.
It would just be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It won't go that way,
No.
but I have. There's a part of me that's just like, but it might. You know,
But
like
it
it
might.
might. So I'm
Please.
here for it. But that level of like, it's performative. It's trying to drive engagement. Like, didn't they have Felicia Day do one of their promos at one point too? Like, they've tried this before.
Maybe.
They had
a bunch of, like, big name
tried
YouTubers
different
trying to
big
do this
name
stuff,
YouTubers.
yeah.
They have.
So and this I get to another point with where Games Workshop's increasingly becoming like a brand company and pushing their Warhammer brand. My concern with Age of Sigmar is it doesn't have the same entrenchment that 40K does. It doesn't have the same history, and I just worry a little bit that like the more they rely on that extra brand, like the video games and the novels and that stuff, which AOS is massively lacking.
It is
Yeah.
compared to a 40K.
It's not lacking it. It just doesn't have the same engagement.
No,
It's not,
yeah,
the pickup's
yeah.
not the same.
It's-
There's tons
yeah.
of stuff you can go and read.
Yeah.
There's tons of stuff that's really good out there.
But yeah,
The
you'll
difference is,
see like
it's-
Black Library, maybe they'll release one AOS book, and then
Yeah.
there's like 25, 40K, and then that's
Yeah.
that's a business.
Because it
They're
makes the
chasing the
line
money.
go up. Yeah, it makes the
exactly.
line go up.
Like if you're ahead of Black Library, you're like, let's make the equivalent amount of books. You're like, that might be queer suicide. So,
If Dan
yeah.
Abnett can write me one book a year, am I going to have him write me an AOS book?
Yeah,
Or am I going to have
exactly.
Dan Abnett in his whole career wrote one Warhammer Fantasy Battle book,
Riders of the Dead.
and it's awesome. It's a great book, but because like the good guy ends up being not the guy you think it's going to be. Like it's a classic Dan Abnett book. Fucking Riders of the Dead if you want, but that whole like idea that you're going to try and promote the brand that isn't succeeding doesn't really line up with current levels of marketing because you can't push that into an algorithm and have people pick it up. You need to do something like stunt cast wrestlers or have some kind of thing to try and like throw dynamite, into the lake and see what comes up.
So are they at this point right now? Do you guys feel that they're at this point right now? I don't think they are quite here yet, but they're like, man, this like we really need this game to take off more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's why.
Yeah.
Here's why for me.
Yeah.
If you're smart, the one of your two properties that doesn't already have people with massive collected model ranges is the one that you try and really hard launch, because if you can do that, there's more potential sales and potential money. The ceiling is a lot higher for a really strong Age of Sigmar launch, which you guys saw in Age of Sigmar 1.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you guys saw that your Warhammer Fantasy Battle sales weren't great going into Age of Sigmar 1, and then all of a sudden these same Warhammer Fantasy Battle kits that 6 months ago you weren't selling were a thing that people wanted to buy. You know what I mean? Like 6 months later, like after they released points, the first gen GHB and stuff like that, people were like, oh shit, I want some Skaven Slaves. I want some, you know what I mean? And you're like, I couldn't give these away like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's the thing is I think they're wise to do it. I think that from the look of the product offer so far, it's all going to come down to how they price it though, because if they price it as a loss leader, they've got the chance basically of having a great demoable product if they roll that out to their staff in a way that's like, yeah, this is the thing we show new customers. This is our best stab at making an awesome starter set. That's the thing that 40K was missing for me at the beginning, because they sold Leviathan, which was not a starter set, and then they released 3 starter sets, and it's like, well, which one do you buy? Like, what's the one we're proud of?
The middle
here?
one.
What's the one that we?
It's the middle one.
It's the middle one. It's always the middle one.
It's the middle one.
And then the rest are just dead stock.
They're
And it's
just
like,
whatever.
why not?
The middle one sells okay, but yeah. Anyway, that's actually this the other question is like on the. So the last time we had an edition, we had Dominion, which was a bit of like a great product, but
they priced that thing into the moon though.
So, but this is going to be not going to be cheaper.
Better be.
No, it's not going to be.
It might be.
Not gonna be.
If it's sub 200 Canadian, I think it has a chance.
Oh, you're dreaming.
Come on, listen up,
You're
Games
dreaming.
Workshop.
Yeah.
Sub 200 Canadian. It's
think
not
so.
too late.
I don't think
you
so.
don't
It's
print
not too
prices
late.
on your packages.
It's
It's
not
not
too
too
late.
late. It's not too late.
When's the last time they put a loss leader product out?
Exactly. Shadespire.
Yeah, probably that long ago.
Shadespire's the last one.
Yes.
Probably that long ago,
and
right?
they had a good launch.
It did. Shadespire sold like gangbusters to painters, to a diverse cast of people.
Yes.
Gamers, painters, all kinds of people. Like, we were hot for it because it was just cool miniatures.
Yeah.
And that shows that that's still possible, and you can still price the rest of your range however you want. Because it makes your Lost Leader Star set look better. And they make enough margin on those things that who gives a shit. So would you rather, like, you'll make the line go up the same amount if you sell 10,000 units versus 5,000 units, but those 5,000 units are making the same money because you price it in the moon.
Yeah.
It's a scarcity mentality of we need to make as much money off the initial purchase as possible versus like a farmer's mentality of planting seeds. Right, fast nickels over slow dimes.
I just feel like with the added, like the amount of money they're spending on marketing, the fact they made that crazy video, I feel like that's all priced into the new box set that's coming out, and it's going to be $300.
Oh,
Canadian.
$300. Yeah, that would be.
If it's $300 Canadian, it's already failed.
That's a mistake.
It's already failed.
Yeah, I don't see people buying, although they're beautiful, new old Stormcast or whatever they are. They're new sculpts of original Stormcast, and Skaven's cool. Like I know Skaven players, but
there's still clan rats.
There's still clan rats. Yeah,
ultimately, it's still a clan rat.
That's gonna be tough.
Don't get me wrong. We're gonna sell some. No matter what.
Sure.
I'm going to buy one.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited.
We're going to play this game.
I'm not the guy I'm worried about. No. Because I have 7 armies.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
The thing is that you can succeed, but then you can succeed with a huge future.
Yes.
And to me, it's not about whether or not you make money off of it. It's whether or not you keep making money off of it.
Absolutely.
Whether or not people keep playing the game. Whether it lands in a way where everyone's excited for the whole summer. Because we have not... I complained about this when you and I played Horus Heresy, and I was like, I painted this Raven Guard army in 2022 with the understanding that we were all super excited about this new version of Horus Heresy, and then we did nothing. Everybody stopped painting their armies. The next thing came out that everybody got excited about, and it just got paved over. And I'm like, I am waiting for Games Workshop to release a product that it's proud enough about and has enough of like a sort of like a wisdom to just keep the spotlight on for a while, and then celebrate those customers, celebrate the new people coming in, make it great to enjoy it this way for a while. And the number one way they could do that for me is if they don't release a GHB for it with some kind of fucked up tournament rules for at least the first year.
No, it's coming in the box.
Don't care.
In the box?
It's in the box.
Is it?
Are you serious?
The GHB comes if you buy the starter box. Allegedly, it's in the box or in that rule book or whatever. So there's an incentive to buy the box because you have the season in it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Sorry.
Ash just spent 2 minutes explaining how it's basically
yeah. No, it's if you're not competitive, you're a loser.
That's right.
That's a great place to end on.
There's one more point I think we can touch on, and that is to deal with, because there's a silver bullet here that I think they're putting in the chamber, or they're hoping, and that's the Spearhead.
Yeah.
And I was thinking there's probably a part of Spearhead that probably just naturally should make it more successful. Is that unlike Combat Patrol, people like AoS models, you just assemble them and play. 40K, there's always considerations about
there's a bit of that in some of the older kids.
Because in Combat Patrol, you kind of are I have to build them this way, and I can't. It says you have to put 3 plasma guns or 2 this and 2 that, and then you're kind of locked into that thing. And if you want different builds, you're buying different models or whatever.
That's a good point.
Whereas AoS has always been you just build them. You just build them, and you're not doing the granular weapon slots and changes, and even the way the points. You're not paying per weapon or anything like that. So it should at least naturally have.
And the model count's relatively tame. Even the higher model count ones, it seems to cap around 20, which makes it
usually 11
15
or
to
something.
20.
Yeah.
The higher, the more elite armies are 11.
You're
12,
right.
13.
You're right. Yeah.
But that makes it achievable, right? And the fact that it seems like that box is going to support Spearhead at the gate.
Yes. Yeah. Because they're basically going to say, because they said we're gonna split the rules into modules. And they're basically going to say just use the first module, which doesn't have magic, doesn't have various advanced rules in it. So the idea will be we want you just playing. So that's part of I'm assuming that's what the wrestlers are going to play.
That wide on ramp,
the widest on ramp. So that could be a thing.
I just hope, Ash said, if Spearhead is their silver bullet, they need to have a plan to act like it's an actual game after it releases, right? So have articles every week on Warhammer Community.
Yes. Show me all these Spearheads.
People doing stuff just keep a light on it and let it actually exist.
But that's my reason for don't over focus again on pitch battle 2,000 point AoS immediately, because if you do that, all the work you put into developing this new thing is just over immediately. You need to make anyone new coming into AoS for the first time feel like the way they're approaching that hobby is its own thing, it's special, it's supported, because there's nothing more disappointing than the thing you're excited about being disappointing. I had this conversation with Adam Loper. He's painted 6 Combat Patrols, and he's like, it's great, but I don't he's like, it's my favorite way to play right now.
Yeah.
But nobody talks about it. And he's like, it's my favorite way.
Games Workshop doesn't talk about it.
No.
Exactly. They don't have
like
any
an
articles
afterthought.
about it.
It's like an
and
afterthought.
it's supposed to be like a centerpiece of 10th. And after
It's an
last
afterthought.
September, I haven't seen...
So one of the things I do know is that they keep releasing new additional comp patrols in White Dwarf for
do?
all of the... They do, because Cash gives me all the cards for it. Cash is like, hey, Daddy, here's the next
I was
set of
going to
cards.
throw these out, Dad.
I was going to throw these out, but here you can have these. And I'm like, sweet. And it's like... But
You know where most White Dwarfs sit, right?
It's the... Look, my son loves looking at the pictures.
No. I mean, most it's in their powder room. Or
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know.
What are they doing?
They're playing comp patrol in the bathroom. But like I think all of the what are they called in 40K? Are they called comp patrols still? The boxes?
Yeah.
Yes.
They've all got rules now from White Dwarf. So
Right,
any ones
right.
that didn't have rules, there's like 7 Space Marine ones. I was like a
of
Dark
course.
Ranger one, a Blood
Yeah,
Ranger
yeah,
one,
yeah.
a Space Marine one. The box set one, which is awful because it's like 10 models and 2 characters. It's just a weird ass comp patrol.
Yeah.
It's a weird playing experience.
It's a weird playing experience. I played it a bunch actually. So yeah, no, I agree with both of you. I think if Spearhead lands and they have a plan for that to continue to be the best way to play, and there's not a bunch of guys being like, yeah, but guys, just it's 2,000 points.
Yeah.
And like,
Or God forbid, Spearhead Meta Watch or whatever.
Oh, man.
Please don't do that.
No.
yeah, but you can't. If spearheads aren't a thing you can customize,
No.
it feels
Then
like
you'll just
it
get a
feels like,
meta and it won't change ever.
Yeah,
Well, have you tried of which Spearhead is the...
Yeah, it's all
that's what I mean.
55% all the time. It's all 55%.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's just over and over again.
Yeah,
They could do like an April Fool's like meta watch.
Isn't that what everyone
Spearhead,
wants
I'd
or
be fine with
whatever?
that.
Doesn't everyone want 55%?
Yes.
Everyone loves that idea.
I don't know why that's the idea that you want, but I mean, I think what happens is it gets a lot of people to go to the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm hopeful. I think the product offer looks great. I think that I know you guys are going to be like, well, I can play it on a small table.
Look, at the end of the day, Jay and I are going to be carrying the AOS flag all the way till the bloody end if we have to.
Yeah.
And
So
time
if
is AOS
we
sale.
sound cynical, it's because we care a lot about the product and we want it to succeed because we love it. So, yeah.
And I love the universe. I love
Yeah.
the storyline of AOS. Like a lot of people, I think, just haven't engaged with it. Don't give it the credit it's due. And a lot of that stink from Warhammer Fantasy Battle still being on it is great too.
I like it because when I actually don't want a lot of detail in my stories, like fluff, because I go back to when I was 11. I want my own sandbox, and for me, AOS has a great top-down level sandbox atmosphere with your pantheon of gods, your open worlds that are still being explored. Like
And they're borderless. Like it could be as big as you want to be. You can make anything you want inside of it.
I enjoy it less when I deep dive into the like who's this and they like I don't care. I want to play with my own versions of those things and it does a great job with that. I think
When the game was new, I kept explaining to those like fantasy players that were upset, and I was like, this is the incredibly rare opportunity because this is obviously going to be a mainline game. Like, it's not going to be a small flash.
This is number 2.
They always have. They have 40K and they have fantasy. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you never get to be there from the start. Because I wasn't there when Warhammer Fantasy started.
No, it was
like 83 or whatever.
Yeah,
or I was way too young when 40K landed, right? So I was like, you get to be there from the beginning. And like I've had a few people over the years be like, tell me about AOS. And I'm like, well, there's like this has happened and this has happened, and like it's constantly moving. Whereas like the 40K universe is like such a slow, grindy. We're just ticking slowly to midnight, really slowly, and sometimes we go back in time.
That's right. Yeah.
Sometimes things
It's
get
been midnight for a long
time. But like AOS,
it's been 3 minutes to midnight for a long time.
Yeah, right. Whereas in AOS they have literally like I'm like, did you know like when the game landed like there were no cities on the ground. It was just like Sigmar up in Azure or whatever,
just blowing open chaos gates and rescuing.
And then like
it was survival horror.
And then you
the entire Mortal Realms was a survival.
One of the first
horror
novels is just some human running from some chaos guys, and there's like these silhouettes of the gates in the back.
And then you realize that human's actually a cannibal because he's a bloodbound. Oh god, this wasn't even a good guy.
And then this has survived, right? Yeah. So
but you were being hunted for food.
And then you have like the whole like Archaon, basically becoming too powerful, and he's trying to claim the All Gates, and there's all kinds of like very cool things, and they keep doing stuff with it. Every edition, it moves more and more, and you just don't get that. So I think it is definitely, if you invest into that part, you'll always have something cool.
And it's been around long enough. There's plenty to explore. I think that's the best part. Sure. Like you could dive into the AOS background right now, and I have a ton of like. There's endless stuff for me to actually look at, and the people I think have engaged with are the ones that are probably happiest right now.
Oh yeah, It definitely has more going on.
Sweet. Well, thanks for letting me bomb into your show and
let him. Yeah.
That's right.
You saw the opening.
I was just parked outside.
He just showed up when it opened and was like, hey.
I'm not going to say you owe me, but you both
There's
owe
a
me.
phone.
Oh, hey,
Hey, they're calling in.
yeah.
Fantastic. We got our first caller for the live show to tell us all the things we've done wrong. So thanks for watching Inside Tabletop. We'll probably do more of these in the future.
Cool.
This feels like it's fun to do.
Fun.
And I'll be around here. So thanks, Mash.
Thanks.
Yes.
Bye.
Working.